Right now, from Sandy Hook Elementary to the halls of Congress, President Obama in Connecticut as we speak tonight, talking to Newtown families with a message aimed straight at lawmakers and the American public. And next, broken hearts, Newtown parents speaking out in a moving series of interviews with 60 Minutes last night. We'll share some of those emotional pleas with you, as well as an update for the latest push for common sense gun safety laws. And later, can Rutgers president really be pardoned here after a week of scandal surrounding those tapes of an out-of-control coach? The university's president, he still remains on the job, but the question is, should he be, especially following his coach and AD as they've been shown the door? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French, and thanks so much for joining us this Monday evening, April 8th. Now, we begin with this plea from a father who lost a child in the massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary.
They have to be our government and vote. Up or down, they have to vote.
Okay, we're going to be hearing more from parents like those who really spoke from the heart about what they want from Washington and also what they miss so much about families that were torn apart more than 3 months ago in a day that we all said would change everything, but to this point, at least as it relates to Washington, has changed nothing. Now, I want to take you live to Hartford, Connecticut, and let's take a listen to the president speaking about this very subject.
For all the families who are here that have been torn apart by gun violence, it's about them and all the families going forward so we can prevent this from happening again. That's what it's about. It's about the law enforcement officials putting their lives at risk. That's what this is about. This is not about politics. This is not about politics. This is about these families and families all across the country who are saying, let's make it a little harder for our kids to get gunned down. When I said in my State of the Union address that these proposals deserve a vote, that families of Newtown and Aurora and Tucson and a former member of Congress, Gabby Giffords, that they all deserve to vote, virtually every member of that chamber stood up and applauded. And now they're going to start denying your families a vote when the cameras are off and when the lobbyists have worked what they do? You deserve better than that. You deserve a vote. Now, look, we knew from the beginning of this debate that change would not be easy. We knew that there would be powerful interests that are very good at confusing the subject, that are good at amplifying conflict and extremes, that are good at drowning out rational debate, good at ginning up irrational fears, all of which stands in the way of progress. But if our history teaches us anything, then it's up to us, the people, to stand up to those who say we can't or we won't. Stand up for the change that we need. And I believe that that's what the American people are looking for. You know, when I first ran for this office, I said that I did not believe the country was as divided as our politics would suggest. And I still believe that. I know sometimes when you watch cable news or talk radio or you browse the internet, you'd think, man, everybody just hates each other. Everybody's just at each other's throats. But that's not how most Americans think about these issues. There are good people on both sides of every issue. So if we're going to move forward, we can't just talk past one another. We've got to listen to one another. That's what Governor Malloy and all these leaders did. That's why they were able to pass bipartisan legislation. All right. I've got stacks of letters from gun owners who want me to know that they care passionately about their right to bear arms, don't want them infringed upon. And I appreciate every one of those letters. I've learned from them. But a lot of those letters, what they've also said is, they're not just gun owners, they're also parents or police officers or veterans. And they agree that we can't stand by and keep letting these tragedies happen, that with our rights come some responsibilities and obligations to our communities and ourselves, and most of all to our children. We can't just think about us, we've got to think about we, the people. You know, I was in Colorado. I told a story about Michelle. She came back from a trip to rural Iowa. We were out there campaigning. Sometimes it'd be miles between farms, let alone towns. And she said, you know, coming back, I can understand why somebody'd want a gun for protection. You know, if somebody drove up into the driveway and, Barack, you weren't home, sheriff lived miles away, I might want that security. So she could understand what it might be like in terms of somebody wanting that kind of security. On the other hand, I also talked to a hunter last week who said, all my experiences with guns have been positive, but I also realized that for others, all their experience with guns have been negative. And when he said that, I thought about the mom I met from suburban Chicago whose son was killed in a random shooting. And this mom told me, I hate it when people tell me that my son was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was on his way to school. He was exactly where he was supposed to be. He was in the right place at the right time, and he still got shot. The kids at Sandy Hook were where they were supposed to be. So were the moviegoers in Aurora. So were those worshipers in Oak Creek. So was Gabby Gifford. She was at a supermarket listening to the concerns of her constituents.